On November 24, 1971, a chilly afternoon before Thanksgiving, a Northwest Orient Airlines flight departed from Portland, USA. It was supposed to be a mundane 30-minute hop to Seattle with only 36 passengers and 6 crew members on board. But sitting quietly in the very back row was a man who was about to execute the most audacious and only unsolved act of air piracy in American history. In seat 180 sat a man in his mid-40s, dressed in a sharp suit, white shirt, and black tie. He looked like a typical business traveler. Just after takeoff, he flagged down a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner and handed her a folded note. Florence, a 23-year-old used to male attention, assumed he was flirting and tucked the paper away without looking. The passenger, who had identified himself as Dan Cooper, leaned forward and whispered a chilling correction. "Miss, I think you should read that note. I have a bomb." Florence opened the note. In neat, polite handwriting, it read, "Miss, I have a bomb in my briefcase, and I want you to sit by me." Florence sat. To prove he wasn't bluffing, Cooper cracked open his briefcase, just enough to reveal a tangle of wires, red cylinders, and a massive battery. The threat was real. He then laid out his specific demands: $200,000 in cash delivered in a knapsack, 4 parachutes to back, 2 front, a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to refuel the plane immediately upon landing. His warning was simple: no funny business, or I'll blow up the plane. The silent crisis, remarkably, the other passengers had no idea their lives were in danger. Florence quietly alerted the cockpit, and another flight attendant, Tina Muklo, took over as the liaison between Cooper and the pilots. The news reached Donald Nira, the president of the airline. Fearing a public relations disaster if the situation turned violent, Nirop made a crucial decision: total compliance. He ordered his team to give the hijacker exactly what he wanted: the holding pattern while the airline scrambled to collect the cash from a Seattle bank. The plane was forced to circle the airport. A 30-minute flight stretched into a tense 3-hour ordeal. To keep the passengers calm, the pilot announced a minor technical difficulty. Down on the ground, the FBI was busy photographing the serial numbers of the ransom money, a detail that would become critical later. Finally, at 5:46 p.m., the plane touched down in Seattle. Cooper directed the pilots to park in a remote section of the tarmac. The exchange. Once the money and parachutes were delivered, Cooper kept his word. He released all 36 passengers and Florence Schaffner. However, he demanded that Tina Muklo and the pilots stay behind. The plane was refueled, and Cooper gave his final, bizarre flight plan: fly toward Mexico City. Stay below 10,000 feet. Keep the wing flaps at 15 degrees. Fly at the slowest speed possible without stalling. The pilots argued that they couldn't reach Mexico with that drag on the fuel, but Cooper didn't care. He simply said, "Fly exactly as I said." As the plane climbed back into the dark, rainy sky, Cooper ordered Tina to the cockpit and told her to lock the door. He was now alone in the cabin. What happened next is the stuff of cinema. Cooper depressurized the cabin and activated the aft staircase, a unique feature of the Boeing 727 that allowed stairs to lower from the tail. At 8:13 p.m., a warning light flashed in the cockpit. The rear stairs were down. The pilots felt a sudden upward bump in the tail section. Cooper had jumped into the freezing night, taking the $200,000 and the parachutes with him. The pilots managed to stabilize the aircraft and landed safely in Reno, Nevada. Law enforcement swarmed the plane, but the cabin was empty. Cooper was gone. All that remained was his black clip-on tie, 8 cigarette butts, and 2 of the parachutes. Investigators lifted 66 unidentified fingerprints, but none matched anyone in the system. The bomb and the money had vanished with him. The FBI launched one of the most extensive manhunts in history. They investigated for 45 years, chasing thousands of leads, but not a single trace of Cooper was ever found. In 2016, the agency officially closed the case. To this day, the question remains: Who was Dan Cooper? Did he survive the fall? And where is the money? It stands as the greatest unsolved mystery in the history of aviation.